He says, I am the true vine. Guess what that means? There are false vines. So be aware. There's no reason for him to tell you he's the true vine unless there are false ones. So what he's trying to tell you is that fruit, if we're going to kind of work our way in, right? So the fruit is at the end of the vine, at the end of the branches. The fruit is the end product. And then you work your way back, and the fruit is being fed through the vine, through the roots, through the ground. And so he's saying, look, I am the vine. He says, if you don't bear fruit, then you're not feeding off of the right vine, because then you're not going to produce the right fruit. He says, stay in me and I stay in you. Why would anybody tell you to stay unless you could leave? And he doesn't just say it once, he's going to say it a bunch of times. Stay in me. Look, when I have my children and they were little, and I would tell them, stay there. Why did I have to say that? And more than once, I can promise you. Stay. No, stay. Don't move. Works the same way with puppies. Stay. Doesn't work with cats at all. They ignore everything you say. Now, bear in mind, this doesn't mean you can just rub the magic lamp and have the genie called Yeshua come out and do whatever you want. He says, if you stay in me and my words stay in you, well, if that's the case, you understand the roles correctly, and you're not going to think any thought of abusing, taking advantage, or whatever misuse of this idea is. And you would understand that, no, he doesn't have to do anything you want. It's because you're doing everything he wants that he will give you what you need to do what he wants. By the way, verse 10 is a discipleship language. He says, I've done this, and now I've done, because that's how I treated my father, so I've now taught you the same as he taught me, so now you do the same with me, and then you'll teach others to do the same with you. It's not that the Father's instructions were different than the Son's instructions, and that's kind of where Christianity goes with this. Well, we just have to do what the Messiah said. Well, yes, but the Messiah only said everything the Father said. He didn't come and give different instruction. Anybody want this job? Anybody want to be a discipler? Well, then you have to be willing to lay down your life for people. You have to make your life a living sacrifice. You have to be willing to put, remember what I said many weeks ago? Maybe I didn't say it in the teaching, I'm not sure. But one of our roles is to inconvenience ourselves to the benefit of other people. I'm not talking about enabling and codependenting. I'm saying that when someone else has need and you can provide that need, but it's not convenient to you, but you do it anyway, that's laying down your life for them. Because your life wants to do ABC. They have a different need. You would need to put your life on hold to meet their need. That's the vertical. This is not talking about just the idea of being willing to take a bullet for somebody or to die for somebody. See, that's the way it's taught often. No, are you willing to lay down your life, your desires, your interests for somebody else? By the way, that's not ego or pride. That's the vertical. The Father does not care one thing what you have an opinion on about what he's doing. Neither does the Son, by the way. They do not need your help or your guidance or your advice as to what's the right way to do it. But you think that your opinion counts. Not in the vertical like that, it doesn't. Your opinion counts when somebody actually wants it. Any of you ever tried to give an opinion when it wasn't wanted? Anointed, appointed is not, you get to be in charge. No, it means that you're expected to bear fruit. And that fruit has to do with laying down your life. That fruit has to do with making known what the Father has made known to you. Now, you don't get to just run around and go say, well, I'm going to go and make known what the Father's made to me. You have to actually be anointed and appointed, and that goes to the vertical. It goes to discipleship. Remember, this is the discipling language. So if you are discipled, then your job is to go and make known what your teacher has made known through the Father, through the Son, all the way down the chain to you. That's what he's talking about here. And Paul was reiterating it here in Ephesians, but that's what Yeshua was talking about in John 15. You were with all of that. You were Gentiles, you were worldly, you were not covenanted, you had no expectation, no promises for you, without Elohim, and I called you out of that. Just like being slaves in Egypt, right? This is the time of year we're looking at Passover. He called them and pulled them out of the world of slavery in Egypt and brought them to Sinai to covenant. But remember, at the time that you were in the world, you were without Elohim, without Messiah, without promise, without hope, without anything. Excluded. You were excluded from, not just didn't have it because you didn't know about it, you were actually excluded from it. That's more the confusion. Why did you stop doing what you used to do? And why would you come under that burdensome law? You know, that's the law of freedom, according to James. The perfect Torah of freedom. Why would he call it the Torah of freedom? How about just for the simplicity that it's what he gave them when they were set free from Egypt? It frees them from the bondage of sin because now they know how to do things right instead of just always doing things wrong or randomly, occasionally doing things right. But now we know what is right. They're going to do these things because they don't know. So take this section here. They're going to put you out of the congregations. They're going to try to get you killed, etc., thinking they're doing Elohim's work. This goes back to the same thing where it says, well, whatever you ask in his authority, he's going to do it. Only if you have a right relationship with him and you know what is his desire. You can see that plays out here. They're going to wrongly understand him because they don't have a correct relationship. So they're going to think of him and his desires erroneously. They're going to have it wrong. But they're thinking they're doing his service. But if they had known him correctly, they had a relationship with him correctly, they never would have done that. They would have repented of their stuff and gone and made sure they could covenant.